Hello, intrepid viewers. I didn't make a video yesterday because it would have been a 20-minute profanity-laden rant about Chuck Schumer. So I'll try and keep it to a 1-minute rant without the profanity because I don't want to get kicked off YouTube. But how could he have done that? Letting down every Democratic voter, letting down his colleagues, letting down the country, and then it came back and defended it as if there is any defense in this critical time in history. So he will now go down as a collaborator. So be it. So be it. All right, let me bring you up to date with how the US president is impacting Australia. So, yes, we're going to be tariffed on steel, and we call it aluminium, you call it aluminum. I think you'll find the rest of the world calls it aluminium, but it might be just me. So we're going to get tariffed about that. But we have a commodity that is in much demand for obvious reasons, and that is gold. So we are selling more gold than we have in decades because people are thinking, oh my God. Okay. Now, on top of that, woke up this morning and there was an announcement from the US. Australian universities have to justify US funding. Now, I live in a shared house with academics. We know how universities are funded, and none of them are funded with US money. So the only thing his delinquent propagandists can be talking about is research grants in particular fields. And they're not in the humanities, which means they're in fields that are really important for humanity going forward, like medicine. So it'll be cutting, $1 million grant here and $1 million grant there, like that's an improvement. It's staggering. You'd think you can't be shocked anymore, but here you go. So, um, let's move on now. The Yeti has declared an economic emergency, which sort of got washed away in the tumult. The Congress could have turned that back, but didn't. Um, and now I want to see how this is playing out, particularly in red states, but everyone is impacted. I mean, this is a guy who's only created one job, and that would be for his poodle, or is he the poodle of, doesn't matter. The red states. How are they feeling? Are they beginning to join the dots? But you can never overestimate stupid. Let's have a look at the red. Oh, no, we won't. Hold on. Dropped all my cards. Let's have a look at the red states. And what's their challenge? Well, yes. Oh dear. Now, no mystery here. The pictures on the cards would tell you the story, even if you've never seen a tarot deck before. They are actually now arguing amongst themselves. Okay, no surprise here because they're torn between their hugely unchristian agenda, including the death penalty. No other civilized country has the death penalty. I understand it's a state issue, but there are however many who are going to be executed this year because they live in America, in whatever state they're in. So they love all that. They love the fact that 12 and 13-year-olds are forced to carry their rapist baby. Love it. 14-year-olds can get married, only need parental permission in some of these backwater states. Yeah. Talk about child trafficking, right? But they love it. They love all that. but they are having issues now, and it's going round in a circle. No one wins this fight, like no one wins a global trade war. What's their obstacle? The fact they're already injured in the sense that they're already barely functioning economic states. Okay. Sorry, is it Nebraska? Let me know in the comments that's really on the brink already. So they've got away with it for years because the blue states have bailed them out, and then they can spitball the blue states. You know, this is what it's all about. I digress. Dear possums, the whole show that is, and it's a show, the presentation of the United States of America as a functioning democracy, I would argue has been an illusion for a very long time. The way the elections are actually run and so forth, the gerrymandering, the voter suppression, even before this 2020, even before 2024, doors being closed when there's queues of voters, all of that stuff, right, is not a healthy democracy in action. Okay, so these states, often they're really limited, like Kentucky and Bourbon, and they're one-horse states. They're already injured. Oh, this is cryptic. I wonder what this means. I'll leave it with you. Let me know. Okay, what are they doing about it? They're trying to come up with a strategy of how do you juggle MAGA, who still allegedly love this guy, so you can't speak up, even if you've got a brain in a redneck state. And suddenly, MAGA's not so happy across the board. How are they going to work this out? And they're going to have to look out, and they're not used to looking out. They're used to running their own little sideshow. If they don't work it out, they're going to be hit over the head with the Fred Flintstone club. Equally, and I don't want to spend another nanosecond of my own brain space on this by pulling clarifiers, but it could also mean they are the ones with the club. And providing they keep peeling off and providing they start to get angry, this would be really scary to the narcissist. Let's have a look at that. Because we know from Mary Trump, blessings, Mary, we know from Mary Trump, who's a clinical psychologist and highly trained, as well as being the niece of Agent Orange, that he has a cluster of issues going on simultaneously. And so part of it is wanting to be adored, being able to pay people to lick his sandals on a daily basis. He's never had to engage with the real world. He's never had to be accountable to real shareholders. He's never had to be accountable for losing vast hundreds of millions of dollars. And so this would be, I'm hoping, an uncomfortable space for him, particularly if the adoration starts to fail. So, but is he bright enough to actually be worried? Is he scared? Or is he just doubling down and just, why have I got these stupid people making this happen to me? I'm adored. It's hard to really know. So let's ask. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. What's going on in the fetid Yeti brain? Never seen him work before. Okay, he does think there's a problem, but not that he's at the center of it. Okay. So, in his own mind, he's determined to go ahead despite all advice. Doesn't matter Who says what? He will persevere with this. At this point, the whole world hates him. And please, decent, thinking, caring Americans, don't think everyone hates Americans. Everyone's very capable of making that distinction. Excuse me. This is a Trump-Musk saga, but it is global. He's not liking feeling his wings are clipped because every time now he does speak, it can't be sanewashed in the same way that it has been. And the contempt we all have for legacy media for failing, not just to support Kamala, that's not their job either. It was just to give the facts. But no, owners of corporate media insisted on backing this cretin. Okay, so he's limited now. He hasn't got his outlet. He still golfs day and night, but he hasn't got his outlet of crowd adoration. People are beginning to realize he's offering them a poison chalice, right? So there's part of him that's thinking, oh, this isn't going well, but my people love me. So, in other words, he'll blame everyone else for the poison chalice. He will sack the Commerce Secretary. He might even divest himself of Musk. He'll certainly be able to blame JD Vance for a whole raft of things. He'll blame everyone, but he is the bearer of the chalice. Okay, so schools. Okay, so the federal workforce in education has been locked out. Have you ever heard in any context? Like I taught into a master's program for many years, working with students from developing countries. And that was everywhere from Zambia to Bangladesh to Pakistan to Thailand, all over the world, Turkmenistan, everywhere. I have never heard of a government that disbanded its education department. The only place it has occurred is under the Taliban and ISIS. Okay. All right. Will this be enough to get middle America up and outraged? I'd like to think most people want their children to have an education, even if it's not marvelous, even if they can't afford college, or even if they've saved, or especially if they've saved for years for the college fund, which again, we never understood in other countries. We watched 1,000 American sitcoms and movies going, the college fund, what happened to the college fund? College fund. This is what I mean, US, you really don't want to go back to normal. You really don't. Okay. Will people react to this as it ripples forward? Closing the education department. Thanks to the lovely, I was going to say Linda Lovelace. That was a flashback. Some of you will know what I mean. I meant to say Linda McMahon. Oh my God. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, whoops, Lena, showing your age. Okay. Mhm. All right, this could end up, well, I hope it ends up. What do I mean? Could end up. This will actually freeze his, um, it's like this could be one of the last nails in the coffin for this presidency. I sincerely don't believe he's going to make 4 years. We, the world, and certainly you guys can't do 4 years of this. This is going to be very hard for the GOP to spin. They're trying to spin it, right? Because these red states are massively subsidized by federal funding from the blue states. Yeah, like, duh. I think this is going to become crystal clear to people as part of all this. I digress. It's long overdue. It's an intergenerational delusion by the red states. Oh, that I'm really independent because I'm from wherever, wherever. No, you're not. Love. I said no. Pet? No. Delusion. So they're trying to work out how to break it to their people. This is a contract. Okay, the Hierophant. Church, the White House, the courthouse. This card is about the structures of any society that make it function. Now, he's taken a wrecking ball. He's done arrests in the church. The White House is a madhouse, and the courts won't be able to process these cases for the next 67 years, right? There's so many cases. But I think these cases, right, we've got a couple of knights here. What are knights about? They're about action. And I think this is intolerable. I get comments all the time from people saying, oh, I'm so embarrassed to be American at this moment. And my reply is always a version of not your embarrassment. You voted the right way. You've done your best. Don't wear it, right? But I think this is a final straw where this is, if you add up Dems plus independents plus enough Republican families who actually are all about law and order, they expected their kids to go to a school. You know, not to be doing Sunday school under a tree in a park. What? This is, I think we might be underestimating this issue. Well, shouldn't be. And as an educator, I don't know why I let it get this far without having a rant. Let me turn my cup around so you can see both sides. That is from an Aboriginal artist, and this is from a Maori artist. Cheers. Okay. Mm. Now, going a bit further afield. How about Putin and the ceasefire? Yes, we could have a ceasefire, but Ukraine must give us everything. They must never join NATO. They must change their government. They must just roll over. There will be nothing but my way. But yeah, we can call it a ceasefire. That's not going to go down well, is it? Okay, so Human Rights Watch. Couple of points here, and then I want to get on to Christine Noam. Okay, Human Rights Watch has a branch called Civicus, looking at the civic points of engagement in working democracies. And they have a checklist of when a democracy is failing. Okay. So let's share the checklist, right? Okay. Threats to civil liberties and democratic norms are at risk when there is a pulling away from international cooperation and pulling away from these accepted norms, when the checks and balances in any society that are considered pillars of democracy are being dismantled. Way ahead on all of these, right? When there are restrictive executive orders and an unjustifiable use of institutional cutbacks accompanied by intimidation and threats in a public way. Okay, that is a failing democracy. Okay, we see a few inflection points. But let me give you some optimism here. Possums, just this week. Now, remember in the Philippines, there was Rodrigo Duterte who got in on the popular vote in 2016, stayed in till 2022. And his thing was being a rogue player. Um, his thing was, I'll destroy the drug cartels. Right. If I see any, you know, drug traffickers, I'll kill them myself, was one of his lines, right? You know. And people, of course, are adversely affected, particularly in poor communities with drug-related crime, etc. So people rallied, voted in Duterte, and then the next minute, it's just like the Latinos who voted um, for Agent Orange, right? So then they found in the Philippines, it was their sons and nephews and cousins who were being shot, disappeared, arrested. Okay, shocking. Now, he got away with it for years and years and years. He got arrested on Tuesday on an arrest warrant from the ICC, the International Criminal Justice Court. Now, they can't get Netanyahu and others because we know there's a hierarchy that goes on even in these organisations, but he has been arrested. That is great. That is something. Now, let's have a look. Where's my Christy name? I can remember it anyway. The strange, well, aka the puppy killer, right? Now, she's been swanning around, you know, in the ice vest and all of that. So let's go back a step. She got into bed with big business to virtually double in size. It might have even been more. Dairy farming in South Dakota, right? It went from this much to this much. Now, because, and I wonder why it was this particular pattern of big agribusiness, right? They work round the clock, right? You can imagine the conditions for the cows, but the conditions for the workers aren't much better. And you will not be surprised to know 70% of these workers who milk cows round the clock and have to do everything else to feed and shovel shit literally, etc., etc. They sleep in these scabby dormitories that are hot as hell in summer, freezing in winter, paid really badly. Thanks, Kirsty. So there she is with her ice vest on, and now they're going to lose the agricultural workers in South Dakota. It's like the hypocrisy of these people. It's one thing to be a vehement, right-wing, nasty, cruel, horrifying person because you sincerely believe all that, but can they not put it together? And everyone's known, but no one says out loud the obvious. These GOP ranchers and people who vote against themselves just as the voters in Tennessee and Alabama, you know, who are at the mercy of the fentanyl epidemic, etc., do it. And the fact that everyone they know is getting a government benefit, they've got their flag on the truck and they're going to vote for their guy. All of this is being brought up. So we can only hope, right? It's the ultimate FAFO thing, waiting for the summer. Now, let me pull a few cards for you guys. Oops. Really important to stay calm. Look, I'm not the calmest of people by nature. So I'm struggling with all this too, you know. So let's have a gulp. It's 96 degrees here today. Oh, okay, Cosmos. Okay. This is about not just keeping calm, but keeping your sanity on some level. But it's moved from gaslighting. I'm going to digress even with this. It's moved on from um, absolute gaslighting that he's been doing basically since he was a toddler. It's not even that anymore. It's different. So that's why the Chuck Schumer thing is particularly egregious because everyone needs other people to stand up in this time. It's very obvious. So I think keeping hold of your clarity, swords are also about clarity and they're also about social media. Everything's being stolen because here in Australia, we call our 401k superannuation. Our superannuation is taking a hit because of this hideous creature. Okay, so of course there's anxiety around this. Of course. The trick is not to get too emotional. These things go in cycles. And although this thing is unprecedented, that thing's unprecedented, that's because we can't see it because it's a bigger cycle. This is the USA's Pluto return. So it's a much longer cycle. You know, it's a 240-year cycle. So we feel like it hasn't happened before, but of course it has. And in the rest of the world, where countries are much older, it's happened many times. So don't get too emotional in this and keep the dove of peace in the forefront. Again, this card keeps turning up for all of us. We need nature, we need greenery. If you live somewhere that's beautiful and surrounded by nature, lucky you, but many of us aren't, including me. So I have to remind myself to actually get to one of the beautiful gardens or parks or the beach or somewhere, right? It's really important to put your feet on the sand, to put your feet on the grass. I know it's winter, but do your bit. You can always put your socks back on. Even if you don't do it because it's too cold, symbolically go out there because you know what? This earth that we live on has been around and around and around. And we need it actually unconsciously affirms the fact for you that things go on, things continue, rebirth, right? So I'm going to go off and find somewhere green. All right, guys, take care. Ciao, ciao. Bye.